Hi everyone, we're going to read the next section of Diary of a Wimpy Kid, Roderick Rules. So let's see what's going to happen now. So, Tuesday. My big history paper is due tomorrow, but they've been saying all week that it's going to snow about a foot tonight, so I haven't really been sweating it all that much. At around 10 o'clock, I peeked out the window to see how many inches of snow were on the ground so far, but I couldn't believe my eyes when I pulled back the curtain. What do you guys think happened? Man, I was counting on school being canceled tomorrow. I turned on the news to see what happened, but the weather guy was telling a totally different story than he was 3 hours ago. We really dodged a bullet this time, Bob. You can say that again, Barbara. That meant I had to get cracking on my history paper. The problem was it was too late to go to the library, and we don't have any books in our house that are about the 1990s or 1900s. So I knew I had to think of something quick. Then I had a great idea. Dad has bailed Roderick out a million times on his school papers, so I figured he could help me too. I told Dad about my situation, thinking he'd jump right in and help, but I guess Dad has learned his lesson in that department. Good luck with that. Roderick must have overheard me talking to Dad because he told me I should follow him downstairs. You know how Roderick had Mr. Huff, my history teacher in middle school? Well, it turns out Mr. Huff gave Roderick's class the exact same assignment when he was in my grade. Roderick dug out his junk drawer and found his old paper, and then he told me he'd sell it to me for $5. I told him there was no way I'd do that. I'll admit it was pretty tempting, because number one, since all of Roderick's assignments have gone through Dad, I knew Roderick got a good grade on his paper. And number two, it was in one of those clear plastic binders that teachers go crazy for. Plus, I had a huge stash of my mom bucks under my mattress upstairs, and I knew I could pay Roderick with that. But I couldn't do it. I mean, I've copied off people's papers on quizzes and stuff before, but buying a paper off someone would be taking it to a whole nother level. So I decided I was just going to have to suck it up and do the paper myself. I started doing some research on the computer, but at about midnight the worst possible thing happened. The power went out. That's when I knew I was in some serious trouble. I knew I'd flunk history if I didn't turn in the paper, so even though I didn't want to, I decided to take Roderick up on his offer. I scraped together 500 in mom bucks and went down to the basement, but Roderick didn't let me off that easy. So there's the power going out, and now he's saying, my fee has gone up. Roderick told me his new price was $20,000 in mom bucks. I told him I didn't have it, so he just rolled over and went back to sleep. At that point I was really desperate, so I went upstairs and grabbed a big handful of $1,000 bills and brought them down to Roderick's room. I gave him the money, and he turned over the paper. I felt really bad about what I did, but I just tried not to think about it and went to sleep. Wednesday. On the bus ride to school, I took Roderick's paper out of my bag, but I took one look at it and knew something was seriously wrong. First of all, the poem wasn't typed out. It was in Roderick's own handwriting. That's when it hit me. Dad only started doing Roderick's papers for him once he got into high school, so that meant this paper was Roderick's own work. I started reading Roderick's paper to see if I could still use it, but apparently Roderick was even worse about doing his research than me. Let's see what it says. "100 Years Ago" by Roderick Heffley. Sometimes I sit and wonder about stuff I don't know, like what the earth was like 100 years ago. Did cavemen ride on dinosaurs? Did flowers even grow? Well, we could guess, but that was back 100 years ago. I wish they built a time machine and they picked me to go, to check out what the scene was like 100 years ago. Did giant spiders rule the earth? Were deserts filled with snow? I wonder what the story was 100 years ago. Look what he got. You know, it's an interesting poem. Not totally accurate though, right? I guess I learned my lesson about buying a paper off someone, or at least off of Roderick. When third period rolled around, I didn't have anything to turn into Mr. Huff. I guess that means I'll be taking summer school for history. And my day got a whole lot worse after that. When I got home from school, Mom was waiting for me in the front door. You know that stack of bills I paid Roderick with? Well, he tried to cash them all in at once to get money for a used motorcycle. I'm sure Mom knew something was fishy, since Roderick had never earned a single Mom buck on his own. Roderick told Mom where he got the money, and she dug around my room until she found my stash under the mattress. Mom knew she never put 100s into circulation, so she confiscated all my cash, even the ones I earned for real. I guess that's the end of my Mom Bucks program. To be honest with you, I'm kind of relieved. Sleeping on that pile of cash every night was really stressing me out. Mom was mad that I tried to put one over on her like that, so she gave me a punishment, but I got that out of the way before dinner. Mom says we have to clean the whole garage. Shoot. So I guess Riley gets a help. Alright, we have a little more time, so let's look at Thursday. Oh, this is coming up. Today was Thanksgiving, and it started off like it always does, with Aunt Loretta showing up 2 hours early. Mom always makes me and Roger to entertain Aunt Loretta, and that means talk to her until the rest of the family shows up. The biggest fights me and Roderick have ever had were over who had to greet her first. So there's their Aunt Loretta. And there's the fights. The rest of the family started trickling in around 11. Dad's brother, Uncle Joe, and his kids were the last ones to show up around 12:30. Uncle Joe's kids all called Dad the same thing. Hi, Aunt Flank. Aunt Frank. Mom thinks it's really cute, but Dad swears that Uncle Joe tells his kids to do it on purpose. Things are pretty tense between Dad and Uncle Joe because Dad is still mad at Uncle Joe for something he did last Thanksgiving. Back then, Manny had just started potty training, and he was doing pretty good. In fact, he was probably about 2 weeks from being out of diapers. But Uncle Joe said something to Manny that changed everything. Better look out for the potty monster, little fella. Uh-oh. It was 6 months before Manny would even step foot in the bathroom again. Every time Dad changed a dirty diaper after that, I heard him saying not nice things about Uncle Joe under his breath. We had dinner around 2 o'clock, and then people went into the living room to talk. I didn't feel like talking, so I went into the family room to play video games. Eventually, I guess Dad had enough of the family too, so he went downstairs to work on his Civil War battlefield. But he forgot to lock the door to the furnace room, and Uncle Joe walked in after him. Uh-oh. Uncle Joe seemed pretty interested in what Dad was working on, so Dad told him all about it. Dad gave Uncle Joe the big speech about the 150th Regiment and the role it played in Gettysburg, and spent about a half hour describing the whole battle. But I don't think Uncle Joe was really listening to Dad's speech. Nice toys, big brother. Thanksgiving didn't last too much longer after that. Dad went upstairs and turned up the thermostat until it got stuffy and everyone cleared out. And that's pretty much how Thanksgiving ends every year at our house. Alright, we'll read the next part, I guess Monday. So let's take a look at what it will be. So we're into December. That's everybody leaving. So we'll see what happens. We are getting close to the end of the book. Very cool. Okay, I'll see you guys later. Bye everyone.